So now we will be installing our rail. The rail will come with the barrel nut already inserted. You'll also need to purchase the ALG barrel wrench. This is proprietary, but it makes installing the rail super easy, and you do not need a torque wrench with it. It will also come with a pack of shims, some screws. This will screw onto the receiver, and then it's attached to the barrel nut via 6 screws. In addition, you will have to purchase a 1-inch pipe nipple to give yourself some leverage once you're installing the wrench. Of course, you will also need your receiver and your barrel. Today we're using a Aero Precision Upper with no forward assist. It's the same installation process as an upper with a forward assist. Then we're using a Faxon 14.5-inch pencil barrel with the pin and welded muzzle brake. You will need a vise block. This vise block also comes with this piece. You'll want to make sure you have it because it slides in there. And make sure as the vise is clamping down on your upper receiver, you do not bend or twist it. And finally, you'll need some grease or anti-seize or something to keep it from locking up. And to finish your build, you will need a gas block and a gas tube. So the first thing you want to do is make sure if you're using a GI dust cover that's installed. This one came pre-installed. As you can see, the spring tension is not correct. But we will be installing a Strike Industries dust cover, so we will not be using this, and the Strike Industries just pops right in. But if you're using a standard mil-spec dust cover, you want to make sure it's installed, because once the barrel wrench is in, it's harder to install. Now you will remove the barrel nut from the rail. You'll get the grease. You just want to get a finger of grease and put some grease on the threads. Like so. I'm going to wipe my hand off here. Now, looking at the barrel or the shim kit here, the directions, we'll talk about colored shims. And if you look, each shim has a different color marked on it. So to begin, we want the black shim, which we have here. So we'll set this right here and set the rest aside. Now we will begin by putting our vise block down, and then inserting our upper. And it fits in just like that. Now if you look at the top of the receiver, it has a cutout right there. And if you look at the barrel, it has a knob right there, and that way they index and lock right into each other. And now you take your black shim and slide it on over the barrel. You take your barrel nut and slide it on, and then we're going to hand tighten it. And now we're going to put the vise block in a vise. Now we will tighten up the barrel nut, but first, if you notice someone's holding the vise, we're moving and we haven't had a chance to install the vise onto our workbench yet. So someone's just holding it by hand. So you're going to begin by taking your barrel wrench, and if you look, there's teeth, and teeth line up with these grooves. We're going to stick it on there. We're just going to push down as tight as we can and then undo it. We're going to do this 2 more times. Push down as tight as we can and then undo it. This seasons the threads, and that's supposed to be a good thing. So now that we've done that, we will tighten it up again. Sorry for the break, as I was untightening the wrench as we were seasoning the threads. I accidentally nicked my finger against that and caused myself to bleed, so now I'm wearing a band-aid. But it's all good. Now looking at the barrel wrench, you can see there's these markings up here. That is important because as we hand tighten it, it will tell us which shims we will need to finally install the barrel. Or the rail. So you'll slide this on, and you'll get it on at the 1 o'clock position. So there we go, and we'll hand tighten it again. And then you look right here, and you see which of those ridges lines up with the center of your rail. And then you look at the directions, and it tells you. We have the second one here, so we need a red and a purple shim. So we now untighten this. And we remove the black shim and add on the red and the purple shims. Almost always I've found the shims will be stuck inside the barrel nut. So you reach in there and it'll come out. Now you take your red and your purple shims. I always put a little bit of grease on them. And I will re-grease the threads just a little. I will slide the new shims back on. Now I'll add a little bit more grease to the barrel nut. I'll slide the barrel nut back on. And then I will hand tighten it again. Now this is where the 1-inch pipe nipple comes in, because you will, or looking at this top here, you see there's some ridges, but there's also a flat section right there. So we slide this on and we will turn it until the flat section is in the middle of the Picatinny rail of the receiver. And you want this knob here to be at the 1 o'clock position, approximately. Now we will take the 1-inch pipe nipple and we will turn. Okay. Now the flat section is in the middle, and we will need to go to the final ridge. So we will turn it more. We are now lined up. Now to check, you'll want to take your gas tube, which I will open up here, and you will line it up and see if it goes in there. We need to go just a tad bit farther. So we'll put the barrel nut back on. So I had to turn the camera off and move it so I could get the leverage I needed for the last little bit, but we now have the very last ridge lined up with the center of the Picatinny rail. And if you look over here, there's this metal rod here, and that will check the positioning for the gas tube right there. If you see that, it comes right there. So we are now lined up and good to go. The last thing you do is take your gas block and gas tube. We're doing the Faxon ultralight, low profile gas block. It has 3 set screws in the bottom. And this is for the .625 diameter barrel, so you need to know what size gas block you have. We're just going to put on and slide on, and then I'll tighten up later after the video. And this will just go on over the barrel, and it lines up. And then you insert your 6 screws installing it. And that's how you install an ALG rail.